Hi everybody, I am back with another review. This week I'm talking about The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. This was a very quick, very interesting, great read. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to be referring to the Native peoples as Indigenous peoples. The book takes place both in Canada and in the US, and there are different terms between those two countries. So I'm going to say Indigenous peoples to kind of represent the main characters, the main population of the characters in this book. It was very, very good. The time period, I would say, kind of starts in the late 60s, early 70s, and then stretches up to what I assume is sort of modern day. It was a very good book. I enjoyed it, but it reminded me a lot of this book. So this is Before We Were Yours. I read this many, many years ago. A friend recommended it to me. This book is about children that are taken from lower income households and kind of sold off from an orphanage. It's very interesting, and apparently it's based off of somewhat true stories. So back in like the 20s and 30s, there were people who would go into lower income areas, take kids out, and then find a way to profit off of them by selling the children to higher income, richer families. And this book is all about trying to figure out where they're from. There's siblings that are kind of split up and trying to find their way back to their siblings as well as back to their family. Although by the time it happens, unfortunately, a lot of the parents are unfortunately no longer with them. So there's that. This book is very similar. So you start off where there's a family. They travel from Canada down to Maine every summer to help do the blueberry picking that takes place in Maine. And again, it starts in, I think, the 60s or 70s. One of the children ends up going missing, and now the family never gets answers as to what happened to the little girl. Was she murdered? Was she kidnapped? Did she wander off? There's a lot of woods and kind of messy air. There's a lake, there's woods, there's all this spot, so maybe she just wandered off and got stuck somewhere. They don't know. They don't ever get any answers. So then the time period switches back and forth to this woman who in current day is kind of struggling with her parents, the way that she was raised, and these dreams that she keeps having. So not to spoil the plot or anything, but the woman is the little girl who got kidnapped, and these dreams that she's been having her whole life are actually memories from before she got kidnapped by her now quote-unquote mom and her dad. It's a very interesting book. The other main character is her brother, who also goes through all of these different like trials and tribulations about guilt surrounding the fact that he was the last one to see her before she went missing, but also he just has this anger and this rage through various things that happen with other members of his family, and him kind of at the end of his life reflecting on where he's been, what he's done, the way that he's spent his life, and things like that. At the end, they all come together, and it's very, very happy. So again, that's a major spoiler, but it still is a very good read, and it spans many years and many generations. You have, what starts in the beginning, I think she's only 3, maybe 4 years old, and at the end of the book, I think she's kind of in her 50s and her 60s, and she's older. And then there's the whole next generation of, family and those bonds and things like that. So a great, great book. I think I would give it probably a 5 out of 5. It definitely has its slower points, but it switches perspective. It definitely keeps you going. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. It was a very good book. And also, When We Were Yours. If you've read this, you'll enjoy this. If you've read this, you would enjoy this. If you haven't read either of them and you like kind of different time periods and familiar bonds and trials and tribulations, you would enjoy that book. Okay, next up is going to be Kristin Hannah, The Four Winds. I have read a lot of Kristin Hannah. She's one of my favorite authors. She always leaves me on a puddle on the floor crying. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. She's just such a good writer, and she does such a good job at getting you truly connected to the characters. So if you have read any of these 3 books, The Four Winds, let me know your thoughts and feelings. If you've read The Berry Pickers, or if you've read When We Were Yours, let me know your thoughts and feelings. I'm excited for Fourth Wind, and I did love both of those other 2s as well.